future belongs to organizations that can adapt, innovate, and execute faster than the competition. Technology sits at the center of this transformation. I'm Faraz Sayed, and on this channel, I'll share executive insights on cybersecurity, AI, infrastructure, and the technology strategies shaping the future of businesses. Welcome to PureStack. If I walk into almost any business today and had to identify the minimum technology requirements they should have in place, I'd focus on 5 things: multi-factor authentication, network security, endpoint protection, secured backup, and visibility into their environment. These aren't advanced cybersecurity strategies. They're not enterprise-only investments either. They are fundamental controls that every business should have, regardless of the size or the industry. The reality is that technology has become critical to day-to-day operations. If employees can't access the systems, if data is lost, or if accounts are compromised, the business feels the impact immediately. These 5 areas create foundations that help reduce the risk and keep businesses operating when the problems occur. The biggest issue isn't usually what companies know, it's what they don't know. And one of these controls is missing. There's often no immediate sign that something is wrong. Everything appears to be working fine until there's a security incident, a system outage, or a recovery event. What makes these gaps dangerous? Businesses often discover them after they've already experienced the consequences. By then, the conversation shifts from prevention to damage control. Our goal always is to help companies identify those gaps before they become business problems. Most companies that we see don't intentionally ignore these security or technology best practices. What typically happens is that growth moves faster than the technology strategy. Leadership teams are focused on hiring, serving customers, launching products, and generating revenue. Technology often gets attention only when something breaks. We also see that businesses assume that they're too small to be targeted, that these basic tools are enough. In reality, risk doesn't discriminate based on company size. Every organization relies on technology, which means every organization needs to have a solid foundation. A quick fact is that 66% of small businesses are actually targeted. It's usually not a lack of awareness, it's competing priorities in limited time. What changed is that attacking a business has never been easier. Cybercrime is now sold as a service, meaning anyone can launch a sophisticated attack without any technical skills. Years ago, many cyber threats were targeted and required significant efforts. Today, attackers use AI, automation, to scan thousands of businesses looking for easy opportunities. They're not necessarily targeting specific companies. They're looking for the weak passwords, unprotected devices, missing security controls, and exposed systems on the internet. Because of that, foundational protection matters more than ever. Businesses don't need to be the hardest target in the world. They simply need to avoid being the easiest target. Let's start with multi-factor authentication. Why is it so important? If passwords are your only defense and you're relying on a security measure that becomes less effective every year due to AI, passwords get reused, they get stolen, employees click on phishing emails, it happens. You use the same passwords on other vendors. Multi-factor authentication adds another layer of verification. Even if someone obtains your password, they still need a second factor to gain access. You are also alerted. It's one of the simplest controls a business can implement, and it provides an immediate reduction in risk. That's why we consider it one of the first things in every organization should have in place. Every laptop, desktop, mobile device is a potential entry point into your business. Employees work from different locations, connect to different networks, and access sensitive information from multiple devices. Each endpoint creates a potential exposure. Modern endpoint protection goes far beyond traditional antivirus software. It helps detect suspicious behavior, identify threats early, and provides visibility into what's happening across the environment. Without it, businesses may not know the device has been compromised until the damage is already done. Backups are never exciting until you actually need them. Nobody thinks about backups when everything is working, but when ransomware encrypts files, an employee accidentally deletes a critical information document, or a system fails unexpectedly, backups suddenly become one of the most important assets in the business. A backup strategy isn't just about storing data. It's about ensuring that you can recover quickly and continue operations. The question isn't whether something will eventually go wrong. The question is whether you'll be prepared when it does. You can't protect what you can't see. Visibility means understanding what devices exist, what software is running, who has access to the system, and where the potential risks may be developing. Many organizations have blind spots and they don't have a complete picture of their environment, which makes it difficult to identify issues before they become problems. Good visibility allows businesses to move from reacting to issues towards proactively managing technology. Network security protects businesses by controlling what gets in, what moves around inside, and what gets out. A properly configured network stops attackers from moving freely if they ever get a foothold in your network. It keeps your sensitive data from leaking and ensures that all your systems are secured and your employees are able to access those systems. But it also enables growth. When your network is built with security in mind, adding new employees, new locations, new technology doesn't create new vulnerabilities. You scale on a stable foundation instead of patching problems as you go. For most small businesses, this starts with a properly configured firewall, network segmentation, and monitoring. It's not complicated, but it has to be intentional. We've seen situations where companies had strong backups, endpoint protection, and monitoring in place, but didn't have multi-factor authentication enabled. And employees' credentials were compromised through a phishing email. Because there was no second layer of verification, the hacker gained access to the account and then began moving through the environment. The company was ultimately able to recover because other controls were in place, but the disruption could have been significantly reduced if they had MFA and if it was enabled from the beginning. Often, it's a single missing layer that creates an opening for hackers. The real value comes from how these pieces support one another. Multi-factor authentication helps protect your accounts. Endpoint protection helps secure your devices. Backup ensures recoverability. Network security controls what moves through your environment. Visibility helps you identify issues early. No single control is perfect on its own, but together they create a layered approach that makes the business significantly more resilient. That's what good technology strategy looks like. Multiple layers working together to reduce risk and support continuity. The easiest place to start is with a simple audit. Ask yourself 5 questions. Do you have multi-factor authentication enabled across your critical systems? Do you have a modern endpoint protection on all company devices? Do you have secured backups that are tested regularly? And is your network secured and segmented? Do you have visibility into your environment and the ability to monitor what is happening? If you answer any of these questions no, there's a gap worth addressing. You don't have to fix everything overnight. Start with the areas that reduce the most risk fastest. For many businesses, that begins with multi-factor authentication and endpoint protection. Then you can focus on ensuring backups are secured and tested. Finally, improve on the visibility monitoring capabilities and make sure that your network is secured and segmented. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is continuous improvement and reducing exposure over time. Technology becomes an advantage when it supports the business instead of creating uncertainty. The organizations that perform the best aren't necessarily the ones spending the most money. They're the ones that are establishing strong foundations to make thoughtful decisions about risk. These 5 essential pillars help create stability, resilience, and confidence as a company grows. Don't wait for an incident to discover what's missing. Technology problems are always easier and less expensive to address before they become business disruptions. Take a step back and evaluate your environment. Make sure that the fundamentals are covered. Because at the minimum, every company should have multi-factor authentication, endpoint protection, secured backups, network security, visibility into their environment. If any of these are missing, the risk is real. Technology works best when it quietly helps your business move forward, supporting your people, your processes, and your objectives. If today's episode gave you a different perspective on IT strategy, cybersecurity, compliance, or growth, subscribe to PureStack for more practical insights. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.